Have you ever stood in your kitchen, looking at the same lettuce, spinach, and packaged greens, wondering why homegrown food still feels so limited? Maybe you've tried gardening before, but somehow your harvest never matches the effort you put in. Many people don't realize that some of the most nutrient-rich plants are quietly growing around us, completely ignored. Welcome to Soil Nourish, where we explore calm, practical gardening and real food knowledge for everyday life. Today we'll look at forgotten vegetables that our grandparents once relied on, long before supermarkets took over. Some of these leaves can grow in tiny spaces with almost no cost. Others can quietly replace store-bought greens without you noticing. If you enjoy calm, practical gardening and food knowledge, please subscribe and grow with us here. Make sure you stay until the end, because number 4 and number 9 might completely change how you see your backyard. You may discover that you've been missing simple nutrition right outside your door. How to grow 12 forgotten leaves most gardeners ignore. Are you missing these? You may discover that you've been missing simple nutrition right outside your door. 1. Good King Henry, the forgotten perennial spinach. When I first heard about Good King Henry, it was from an elderly neighbor who remembered her grandmother cooking it every spring. She said it grew back every year without being replanted, long before people depended on store-bought spinach. In those days, families relied on hardy garden plants that could survive changing weather and still provide food season after season. Good King Henry was one of those trusted crops, quietly supporting households with fresh greens when other vegetables failed. This plant was once a staple in European kitchen gardens and valued as a reliable leafy green for soups, stews, and simple side dishes. Compared to modern spinach, it grows more slowly, but it lasts much longer and becomes stronger with age. Its deep roots allow it to withstand drought, cold, and poor soil better than many annual vegetables. Over time, however, it became less popular as people turned to fast-growing commercial crops designed for large-scale farming and quick profits. Today, Good King Henry matters again for backyard food growing and self-sufficient living. It saves both time and money because once it is established, it can produce for many years with very little effort. It fits well into sustainable food habits, organic gardening, and small kitchen gardens where space and resources are limited. It does not need special fertilizers, chemical treatments, or advanced home gardening tools to thrive. Even in small yards, raised beds, or balcony gardens, this plant can keep producing healthy leaves year after year. Its early spring growth makes it especially valuable when other vegetables are not yet ready to harvest. Tip: plant it in partial shade with well-drained soil, water regularly during dry periods, and harvest young leaves often for the best flavor and tenderness. 2. Miner's lettuce, the wild green for cool weather. I once noticed miner's lettuce growing quietly along a shaded path during early spring. Most people walked past it without knowing it was edible. Its round, tender leaves and small white flowers blended naturally into the landscape, making it easy to overlook. Yet this humble plant has supported people for generations. Historically, miners and early settlers relied on it to supplement their diets during long winters and early springs when other vegetables were scarce. It provided a reliable source of fresh greens at a time when imported food was rare and expensive. Miner's lettuce is rich in natural moisture, vitamin C, and essential minerals, making it far more nutritious than iceberg lettuce. Its mild, slightly sweet flavor makes it easy to enjoy both raw and cooked. You can toss it into salads, blend it into smoothies, or lightly sauté it with garlic and olive oil. Because of its high water content, it also helps keep the body hydrated, especially during seasonal transitions. As supermarkets began offering year-round vegetables, miner's lettuce slowly faded from everyday use. Many people forgot that this wild green once played a vital role in survival gardening. Today, however, it is making a quiet comeback among gardeners who value sustainable, low-maintenance food sources. Tip: scatter seeds in early spring or early fall, keep the soil lightly moist, and harvest young leaves regularly to encourage continuous growth. Three. Sea beet greens, the wild ancestor of beets. A coastal gardener once shared how sea beet grew naturally near the shore, untouched by storms, salt spray, and shifting sands. While many cultivated plants struggled to survive in such harsh conditions, sea beet continued to thrive, proving its remarkable strength and adaptability. Long before modern farming existed, coastal communities relied on these hardy greens as a dependable source of nutrition. People harvested the tender leaves for soups, salads, and simple cooked dishes, passing down this knowledge through generations. Sea beet is the wild ancestor of modern beets and Swiss chard, making it an important link between traditional food systems and today's agriculture. Unlike many store-bought greens that depend on heavy watering, fertilizers, and controlled environments, sea beet evolved to survive with minimal care. Its natural resistance to salt, wind, and drought makes it especially valuable for gardeners living near the ocean or in dry, sandy regions. Over time, sea beet lost popularity as agriculture shifted inland and large-scale farming expanded. Commercial farms began favoring uniform crops that were easier to harvest, transport, and sell. As a result, many resilient wild plants were forgotten, even though they were better suited to difficult growing conditions. This shift reduced plant diversity and increased dependence on fragile food systems. Today, sea beet is gaining attention again among home gardeners, permaculture enthusiasts, and sustainability advocates. It fits perfectly into backyard food gardens, coastal landscapes, and low-water planting systems. Tip: plant sea beet in well-drained soil with good sunlight, avoid overwatering, and allow it space to develop strong roots for long-term growth. 4. Orach, the summer spinach alternative. My first experience with Orach happened during a long, dry summer when lettuce and spinach completely stopped growing in my garden. An old gardening book mentioned this colorful plant as summer spinach, and I decided to try it. At the time, I was skeptical that any leafy green could survive weeks of intense sun and limited rain, but Orach quickly proved me wrong. Within a few weeks, strong stems and vibrant leaves began filling the empty spaces where other crops had failed. Long ago, Orach was common in European and Asian kitchen gardens, especially in warmer regions. People relied on it when other leafy greens struggled under harsh weather. It was valued not only for its resilience, but also for its steady production throughout summer. Compared to modern spinach, Orach is far more heat-tolerant and less demanding when it comes to water and soil quality. Once established, it can continue growing even during dry periods, making it an excellent choice for gardeners dealing with climate change and unpredictable seasons. One of Orach's most striking features is its natural pigmentation. Its leaves can appear in shades of red, purple, bronze, and bright green, adding visual beauty to any garden. These colors come from powerful plant compounds that also provide antioxidant benefits. Whether you are facing hot summers, limited water, or small gardening space, Orach offers a reliable, nutritious, and beautiful solution for growing fresh greens when others fail. Five. Common mallow, the overlooked backyard green. As a child, I remember adults pulling out mallow plants and throwing them away without hesitation. They were seen as messy weeds, not food. Yet in many traditional cultures, common mallow was cooked like spinach and added to soups, stews, and simple home meals. Families valued it because it grew freely without planting, watering, or special care. In difficult times, it often became a quiet source of nutrition when other vegetables were scarce. Its soft, round leaves were easy to prepare and gentle in texture, making it suitable for both children and elderly family members. Compared to cabbage or kale, mallow is milder in flavor and traditionally considered easier to eat. When lightly boiled or sautéed, it becomes tender and slightly creamy, adding body to soups and vegetable dishes. In some regions, it was mixed with garlic, onions, and olive oil to create comforting, everyday meals. Its subtle taste allowed it to blend easily with rice, noodles, or grains, making it a versatile ingredient in many traditional kitchens. Over time, common mallow slowly disappeared from home gardens as people relied more on packaged vegetables and supermarket produce. Lawns, decorative plants, and imported food replaced useful wild greens. Modern lifestyles encourage convenience over self-sufficiency, and many people forgot how to recognize or prepare edible plants growing around them. As a result, valuable local knowledge was gradually lost. Today, common mallow matters again for backyard food growing and zero-cost gardening. Tip: pick young leaves before flowering for the best texture and flavor. 6. Toona sinensis, the edible tree leaves. The first time I saw Toona sinensis, I was surprised to see people harvesting leaves from a tall tree and treating them like everyday vegetables. In many Asian traditions, this plant has long been part of home gardens and family kitchens. For generations, families patiently waited for fresh spring shoots and prepared them as special seasonal dishes. These young leaves release a gentle onion-like aroma when cooked, adding depth and warmth to simple meals. Compared to green onions, the flavor is softer, slightly nutty, and more complex, making it suitable for soups, stir-fries, omelets, and rice dishes. Because trees take years to mature, many modern gardeners have avoided growing Toona sinensis. Fast-growing vegetables and instant harvest crops often feel more practical in today's busy lifestyle. As cities expanded and living spaces became smaller, room for food-producing trees also became limited. Many people lost touch with traditional gardening knowledge that valued long-term planning and patience. However, interest in sustainable living and backyard food forests is bringing Toona sinensis back into focus. This tree fits perfectly into multi-purpose landscapes. It provides fresh edible leaves, natural shade, and visual beauty at the same time. In hot climates, its wide canopy helps cool surrounding plants and homes. Its deep roots also improve soil structure and reduce erosion, making it valuable for eco-friendly gardens. Once established, Toona sinensis requires very little daily care. Is relatively resistant to pests and adapts well to different soil types. Tip: harvest only tender young shoots in early spring for the best flavor and texture. Avoid cutting too much at once to keep the tree healthy and productive. 7. Caucasian spinach, the cold climate climber. A gardener in a cold mountain village once shared how this remarkable plant continued growing even after heavy snow covered his garden. While most vegetables collapsed under freezing temperatures, Caucasian spinach remained alive, quietly waiting for spring. This hardy perennial climber has been trusted for generations in regions with long, harsh winters and short growing seasons. Long before modern greenhouses existed, families across northern and eastern Europe depended on this plant as one of their first sources of fresh greens after winter. Caucasian spinach thrives in cool weather and performs far better than common leafy vegetables such as lettuce or spinach. It tolerates frost's strong winds and low temperatures that would normally damage tender crops. Instead of spreading across the ground, it climbs upward using fences, walls, trees, or simple wooden supports. This vertical growth makes it especially valuable for gardeners with limited space, including those working with balconies, narrow yards, or urban gardens. During the rise of industrial agriculture and greenhouse production, many traditional climbing vegetables were gradually forgotten. Commercial crops that produced faster harvests replaced long-living perennials. As a result, plants like Caucasian spinach nearly disappeared from everyday gardens. Today, however, interest in sustainable food systems and self-sufficient living has brought renewed attention to this resilient plant. Tip: install simple vertical supports early in the season, guide young vines gently, and harvest leaves regularly without damaging the main stems to ensure healthy, long-term growth. 8. Salsify greens, the forgotten leaf of a root crop. Most people recognize salsify for its long, pale root, often called the oyster plant because of its mild seafood-like flavor. For generations, this root was valued in home kitchens and local markets. However, few people today realize that salsify leaves were once just as important as the root itself. In traditional gardens, every part of the plant had a purpose. Nothing was wasted, and families relied on both roots and greens to prepare simple, nourishing meals. In earlier times, salsify leaves were commonly steamed, sautéed, or added to soups and stews. Their texture is softer than kale and less bitter than many wild greens, making them easy to enjoy even for beginners. When harvested young, the leaves are tender and mildly sweet, blending well with garlic, onions, and light seasonings. They were often mixed with other garden vegetables to stretch meals and reduce dependence on store-bought food. Over time, commercial farming changed how salsify was used. Markets began focusing only on uniform, sellable roots. Leaves were considered secondary and rarely included in packaging. As processed and packaged vegetables became more popular, full plant cooking slowly disappeared from everyday recipes. Many households lost the habit of using edible leaves from root crops, leading to more food waste and less connection to traditional growing practices. Tip: for the best flavor and texture, harvest salsify leaves early in the growing season before they become tough and fibrous. Young leaves are perfect for fresh cooking and daily meals. 9. Garden Burnet, the salad leaf with a mild flavor. I once tasted garden Burnet in a small heritage herb garden and was surprised by its freshness. It had a light, clean flavor that reminded me of cucumber, with a subtle herbal note that made it both refreshing and comforting. For centuries, people added it to salads, drinks, and soups, especially in Europe and parts of Asia. It was valued for bringing brightness and balance to simple meals when spices and seasonings were limited. In medieval times, it was even believed to support digestion and overall wellness, making it a staple in household gardens. Compared to modern packaged salad mixes, garden Burnet is far more resilient and long-lasting. It does not wilt quickly, and its leaves remain tender even in warm weather. It grows well in poor soil, rocky ground, and dry conditions where many leafy greens struggle to survive. Once established, it develops deep roots that help it tolerate drought, making it ideal for low-maintenance gardens. As packaged salads and supermarket greens became popular, garden Burnet slowly disappeared from home gardens. Many people forgot how easy and reliable it was to grow. Unlike lettuce, which often needs frequent replanting, Burnet continues producing fresh leaves for years. With simple care, one plant can supply harvests season after season. Tip: trim leaves often and avoid letting them grow too large to maintain the best texture and taste. With minimal effort, garden Burnet can become a reliable, nutritious, and flavorful companion in any garden. 10. Yardlong bean leaves, the hidden green. Many gardeners grow yardlong beans only for their long, tender pods, often overlooking the fact that the leaves are also highly nutritious and completely edible. For generations, communities across Asia and Africa have used both the pods and leaves as valuable food sources. The leaves were commonly added to soups, stews, curries, and stir-fries, providing extra flavor, texture, and essential nutrients. This tradition reflected a deep understanding of how to use plants efficiently and avoid unnecessary waste. Compared to popular leafy greens such as spinach or kale, Yardlong bean leaves grow much faster in warm and tropical climates. This makes them especially useful for home gardeners who want a continuous supply of fresh vegetables. While waiting for the pods to mature, gardeners can already begin harvesting young leaves, ensuring a steady source of greens throughout the growing season. This dual-purpose quality makes Yardlong beans an excellent choice for small gardens, balconies, and backyard plots. Over time, commercial farming and market demands shifted attention mainly toward pod production. As a result, the practice of using the leaves gradually declined. Many people forgot that this plant was once valued for more than just its beans. The focus on single-purpose crops reduced awareness of traditional, multi-use gardening methods that help families stay food secure and self-sufficient. Tip: harvest young leaves sparingly and regularly, allowing the plant to remain healthy and continue producing abundant pods throughout the season. 11. Epazote, the traditional flavor leaf. In many traditional Mexican kitchens, epazote was always growing near the back door or beside the cooking area. It was not treated as a special plant, but as part of daily life and family tradition. Generations learned from their parents and grandparents how to grow, harvest, and use this aromatic herb. Families picked its fresh leaves whenever they cooked beans, soups, stews, or corn-based dishes. Its strong, unique aroma helped balance simple ingredients and made everyday meals more satisfying and comforting. Compared to parsley or cilantro, epazote has a deeper, more earthy, and slightly peppery flavor with hints of citrus and resin. Because of this powerful taste, it was usually used in small amounts. Just a few leaves could transform a pot of beans or a pot of soup. Beyond flavor, many households believed epazote helped reduce bloating and improve digestion, especially when eating legumes. This practical benefit made it even more valuable in traditional cooking. As packaged spices and dried herbs became common in modern kitchens, fewer people continued growing fresh epazote at home. Supermarkets began replacing homegrown herbs with imported seasonings, and younger generations slowly lost interest in cultivating traditional plants. Outside cultural communities, many gardeners never learned about epazote or its culinary importance. Over time, it became a forgotten vegetable in many home gardens. Tip: harvest young leaves in the morning and use them sparingly for the best flavor and aroma. 12. Walking onion greens, the self-planting onion. A gardener once showed me a strange onion plant that seemed to walk slowly across the soil. Instead of producing seeds like most vegetables, it formed clusters of small bulbs on top of its tall, hollow stalks. When these bulbs became heavy, the stalks bent down and touched the ground. Over time, the bulbs took root and grew into new plants nearby. This natural process made it look as if the onion was moving across the garden, earning it the name walking onion. These hardy plants have been passed down through generations, often shared between neighbors and families rather than sold in stores. Many home gardeners valued walking onions because they never needed yearly replanting. Once established, they returned faithfully each spring, even after harsh winters. Their green tops were harvested like scallions and added fresh flavor to soups, eggs, salads, and stir-fried dishes. Some gardeners also used the underground bulbs for cooking, making the plant even more useful. Compared to store-bought onions, walking onions proved to be more reliable and long-lasting. They required little care, resisted many pests, and thrived in different soil conditions. While commercial seed onions became popular for their uniform size and predictable harvest, these traditional onions were slowly forgotten. People preferred neat rows from seed packets instead of plants that spread naturally. Tip: allow some tops to fall naturally each year so the plant can multiply on its own and continue walking through your garden. Conclusion: Returning to simple garden wisdom. Today, we explored forgotten vegetables that once supported everyday families and helped communities survive through changing seasons. These plants remind us that food security truly starts at home, in small gardens, backyards, balconies, and even simple pots near the kitchen window. They grow quietly, without expensive tools, chemical fertilizers, or complicated systems. With basic care, sunlight, and water, they continue to provide reliable nourishment year after year. These traditional vegetables support sustainable food habits and encourage simple, healthy routines. They reduce dependence on store-bought produce and help families reconnect with natural growing cycles. When we plant seeds, tend soil, and harvest with our own hands, we become more aware of where our food comes from. This awareness leads to less waste, better nutrition, and deeper appreciation for nature. Traditional plant knowledge connects us to generations before us. Our grandparents and ancestors relied on these crops not because they were trendy, but because they were dependable, resilient, and nutritious. If you found value here, please like and subscribe to support this channel. Share this video with friends and family who love home gardening, healthy living, and sustainable practices. Together, we can preserve forgotten vegetables, protect traditional wisdom, and inspire future generations to grow their own food. Until next time, keep growing with patience, purpose, and gratitude for the soil that feeds us.